welcome back to another episode of Fellow and Friends. Now this time I've got probably one of the most unhinged episodes we'll have, probably because usually I talk about things that are already made or out there, so books or manga and TV shows or anime and film and whatnot. But this time I'm going to talk about some things that I know definitely will not make the cut, and a couple that will. Either way, we're in for some ups and downs in this one. Go ahead and settle in.
I finished Great Cleric, Duke of Death, and Mushoku Tensei Season 2. I didn't even realize it was the end. You'll never guess how it ended. It ended just like Season 1 did, and I didn't expect that. Dude gets laid. Look at that. What a lucky little bitch. And ever since I started watching that, now when I watch other shows, I can really tell that person's voice. I know it's a girl that's playing a guy. I don't know what else I've been watching, but I know like a side character, when they talk, I'm like, oh, that's them. I don't want to say they're annoying. It's just the way they talk is very prominent, and I can tell. But yeah, Mushoku Tensei has plenty of girls. Some on Bleach's level, sure. I'd probably have to send pics. I
don't think I've seen it.
Very popular. Very popular. Oh yeah, everybody into it. I think most people would probably say cat mommy, because there's animal people in it. She's giant buff, giant boobs, sword, everything you want in a woman.
Is it though?
Probably. As Spike Spiegel once said, I want a woman that can kick my ass. Unfortunately, I personally followed through on that. I have bruises to prove it.
Good for you, dude.
Duke of Death is a good little series. I didn't expect to like it, but I do. I don't like that it's 3D animation, but I still put up with it anyways. Main girl has giant knockers for no fucking reason other than to torment you as the watcher and the main character, because the whole concept of the show is the fact that he can't actually touch her. Isn't that fun?
Oh yeah.
That's the reason they gave you big things you couldn't touch. Feel sorry for him. Sucks. But yeah. Great Cleric. Great Cleric is an isekai. He reincarnates, has some magic, and in this world, healers are a bunch of fucking dicks. They charge out the ass because they can. So he becomes a healer and doesn't really charge people a lot of money, and that's what makes his character good. But what was unique about the show is a lot of the later episodes, he's doing a dungeon, and it's just like over narration of him doing a dungeon and like clearing it and what he thinks of the world. And it wasn't bad. It's just like a chill little anime. Every now and then I just put on one to watch, and that was one of them. I've really been slacking on the reading lately, but I'm starting to get discouraged now that everything I read is getting a fucking adaptation. They're running out of stuff to adapt, but they're adapting everything.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
No. Then I either have nothing to watch, because why watch it if I already read it? And like Zom 100 finally announced that they're going to air the rest of their episodes. They've been delayed forever, and the final 3 episodes are going to come out here in December. I still get comments on my video all the time. I show some of the future panels, not to be spoilering, but technically spoilers, and a lot of people are like, oh god, oh man, why can't they fucking animate the rest of this so I can see that? And I'm just sitting there like, bud, you ain't never gonna fucking see it. Like, I want to say it to them so bad, because I keep getting the comments. The stuff I showed, if it was ever to be animated, would be way into the future, and they're having trouble doing the first season. Like, I doubt you're ever going to see it animated, to be honest. So
yeah.
And I kind of share stuff with other series and whatnot where I'm ahead of it, or it doesn't exist yet. So like that I made before the anime ever existed, and now that the anime exists, I get more traffic for it, sure, and people see it and comment on it, whatever. I kind of expected the same with Undead Unluck, which is also airing right now, but I haven't really had much with that. And that's part of it too. It's like, well, see, you're right. Maybe it should be good. The fact that I've read it or that I make content regarding it now, so when it becomes an anime in the future and people look it up, they find me already talking about it and stuff. But I haven't hit that lucky zone yet. And a lot of what I'm reading, I do know has animes coming. It's just, I also have been slacking on doing anything. Few series I'm reading that are decently big that I know have the anime coming are Kaiju number 8 and Sakamoto Days, and I don't know what else. I think Kaiju number 8 is going to be really popular when it comes out. I don't know what I would compare it to. This is where you say, hey man, what's that series about? Why do you think it's going to be popular?
Hey man, what's that series about? Why do you think it's gonna be popular?
Well, dude, this guy was cleaning up some weird fucking shit, and he decided, hey, maybe I'll give it a little taste. And then he became a monster.
What the fuck?
Alright, not really. This guy named Kafka, he cleans up after kaiju incidents. Kaiju incidents are regular in this world, so giant monsters doing damage to places, and then soldiers have to go out and kill them. So he handled cleanup. He got to cut up the monsters into pieces, and they take it off and destroy it or burn it, whatever. I don't recall him choosing to, but a part of the kaiju goes inside of him, and he passes out, whatever. And then he wakes up, and now he's part kaiju. So,
interesting.
In terms of emergence of kaijus, he is number 8, but there is a 9 and a 10 when the series starts, and they're smarter than any of the other kaijus, and they're organizing and creating armies and this and that. And so it's a big battle series for sure, and I think it's going to be pretty popular because it doesn't really hold back. It goes into the action. People get hurt, people die, people get stronger, this and that, but you actually see them go through it, and there's decent character development. And I'm only 8 volumes in, because that's all that's come out so far, so I think it'll do pretty well.
Fun.
Then Sakamoto Days, which I really didn't even care for in the beginning, but I kept buying more, and I kept reading it. I think it fucking turned me. I don't know if this is what gay guys claim is how it happens to them. They just said, one day I turned, because that sounds like a lie. That can't be true. That can't be how it works. But anyways, so eventually I came around on the series and I liked it, but it's about this retired hitman. He works at a grocery store with his family, and one day a little punk psychic assassin decides he wants to take him down, and it doesn't work out in his favor, and so he becomes part of the family, and then another girl shows up and she becomes part of the family. But it's basically him and Shin. So his name's Sakamoto and his subordinate is Shin, and there's a whole section of the world where it's governed by the assassins and a whole secret organization. And he got out, Taro got out, and has a family and everything. And most people don't get out. And because he got out, he has to get back in because it's the only way to protect his family. So after a series of fights with some really bad guys, it becomes a tournament arc, which I'm like, great. I mean, that's what all shonen does, so I get it. But so he is going in with his subordinate at the same time into this thing to become an assassin, even though he has already been one in the past. So it's kind of like a goofy slice of life about assassins, but it's pretty gruesome too. Like there's some gross ass stuff in it. There's a guy with a deer head, and then another guy that I think the deer head guy gets like chopped to pieces, And I was just like, ugh. Yeah, there's some gross stuff in it. But I think it'd be cool to see animated. I also don't know why the guy has a deer head, and I'm pretty sure it's never explained. No other person has been like that. Like, I don't know if he's wearing like a helmet or something. Or not.
Or if he just has a deer head.
Yeah, or if he lost his head and just had a deer head sewed back on. Because I'm pretty sure if it's the same character I'm thinking of, he's had his like hands cut off or whatever and had them sewn back on. And his whole body is like sewn together. It's ridiculous. Then any of the other series I read, those aren't going to get animated. And I think I know why.
Yeah, I can guess too.
I think they do real well though, bro. Damn.
Probably.
I think to save the world would do really well in today's market. We've seen how everybody reacts to the rape scenes. How about a guy character who gets raped at the end of every episode? I guess. Okay.
Just saying, it wouldn't bother me.
Trying to think of the couple I'm reading that are still going. One's called Might As Well Cheat. I got trapped in another world with something, a really long ass title, but Might As Well Cheat. It started out as a goofy, innocent concept, not innocent at all when I say that, but basically the main character is just a healer. He makes potions. He was reincarnated. They kind of ignore that. It's not big part of the story, but he can make potions really well. But instead he makes average potions and just lives an average life so he can just make some money and then go to the whorehouse at night. And it's pretty simple. That's what he does. And so for the beginning of the series, most of the time you would see him work a little bit and then you'd see him bang chicks a lot. And you're like, cool. And then it takes a weird turn to where he goes to school to be a mech operator. And I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Well, why is this the story now? And eventually it goes away, sort of. And you're just like, okay, cool. We can get back to standard business. All right. And then it takes a more weird turn, but it's still degenerate. They found a way to bring it back to being degenerate, but still taking a weird turn. They decide to do a tournament arc. What? So, okay, not with the mechs, with the people having sex. Okay, all right. Let me back up.
Fuck.
So the guild master at the town he lives in or whatever takes notice that he often goes to the whorehouses and has fun. Okay, and he's a fucking freak himself, and he was at the same orgy as him once. I don't fucking remember, but yeah. So he tells him, you should come along. It'll be a good time. You'll do all right. So he gets entered in this tournament, and the tournament is stacked male versus female, as far as I saw. And it would just say male, whatever land they're from, female, whatever land they're from. And basically the two would come out in a gladiator-style arena, and it was the first to make the other climax loses. Or wins. The one who climaxes loses. So... So it's been about 2 or 3 volumes now, I think. Maybe just 2. It's only 7 out. That's why I feel like so much has happened in such little time. And in this last one, he goes against a nun who was trained by the church to use her mouth.
Oh my god!
So she uses her tongue, and he can't get anywhere near her because her tongue's holding his junk, and he loses. And I'm just like, man. And then the focus shifts to this wild card that showed up out of nowhere. What he does, he's lightning something, and he basically moves so fast that the girl just stands there and comes, and then they just lose. He's like, no, if you're really watching, you know what happens. And like it gets serious, like they're talking like it's a real battle anime. And he's like, look, if you watch, he moved so fast, he ran up to her. He pumped into her twice and backed off just so she couldn't get a hold of him. I'm just like, oh my
fuck.
God.
That's something.
It is something. It could be something animated.
I don't know if I want to see that animated. Oh my god.
That's one of the few series I haven't like done a review for or anything.
Why not?
I've thought about it, but there's just a few of them I just haven't gotten to. Saki the Succubus is another, and I actually finished it. I finished the whole series, and I don't think I've reviewed it. I think a lot of it's because I do flip through reviews now, where I flip through the manga to show you some of the art and stuff, and those, I can't do that, or they'll take down my videos.
No.
Yeah, pretty sure.
It'll be fine. It'll probably be fine.
See, surprisingly, a lot of my videos are pretty, like, close to the edge and don't get taken down, when a lot of people do, like, less and theirs do. But I think part of that's them having a bigger audience than me. But I've been flagged by whatever AI runs their video systems a couple times, and I've appealed them, and they've always come back. I've put up some degenerate ones, and they've always done all right. I'm pretty sure I have one that just says, hey, look at this, and then it's just like them in a swimsuit. 60,000 views. And all I did was open the manga and open the manga to the page of them in the swimsuit, and that's the video. But anything I put thought into or spend actual time editing, nah, we'll give you a couple hundred views maybe. Just like
because it's not titties.
Maybe. I was gonna say there's a lot where I post and they are, and they don't get the views either. It's become random. It used to be a lot easier to tell. Now it's kind of random. All right, let's see. I posted our podcast clip about 2 hours ago. It's at 230 views. It's done the same as oh no, our first clip did better on YouTube, where I asked you about the 100 girlfriends and like explained the concept to you. Still haven't read I don't think I've read all volume 1 of that. I have the first 2 volumes, and they're on like 17, which, I mean, it makes sense that it would go really long, but I probably shouldn't have invested any money into it. Like a harem of maybe 20 tops, 100, you're just pushing. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, that's good.
Like how am I supposed to be invested in all these characters he's gonna have to interact with? It's gotta be hard. It's gotta be complicated and weird. I don't know how that. Again, I would have to read it, I assume, to understand, but I'm not going to.
Why read when you can just not read?
Well, it's already an anime, so I mean I could watch it, but it'll be the same problem. Oh yeah, it's airing right now too. See, something like that I really liked, like Yuna Haunted Hot Springs, only got 12 episodes, and none of it was like any of the good stuff.
The good stuff.
Yeah, like there's no plot or anything. None of the big bosses or big bads, or none of the fun situations. In terms of harem anime, I would say it's like the current king, and I know a lot of people probably wouldn't agree or would give in to like reading it, because the anime doesn't get far, but the manga, it does really well. And I haven't finished it. I'm on 23 out of 24, but what they're doing is showing you every future where the main character ends up with a different girl. And I think that's very well done, because usually for a harem anime or manga, they don't pick. They choose not to pick, so the reader can fucking make their decision to say, that's who it is, that's who's the winner, that's the best girl, this and that. Because my prime example for that argument would be quintessential quintuplets, which is sort of been a minor phenomenon over the past few years, where I don't know if you know the setup. Do you?
Not really.
Okay, they're quintuplets, 5 sisters, all the same pretty much, but they have their own personality. The main character gets brought in to tutor them because they're all stupid.
All right.
But you're also given an image, or it's told from the future on his wedding day where he's marrying one of them. And because they all look the same, you don't know which one it is. And so for the longest time, there was debates, like full out people raging on who is the best girl or who he ends up with because this and this and this. And I watched it. I read almost all of it. I think I just decided to watch the movie instead of finishing the manga, but I did read more than half of it. And I know who he ends up with, and I think most people do now, especially if they're invested in the series. And a lot of people are really mad about it, and I'm just like, well, if you actually pay attention, they tell you very early on who he ends up with because they have been evident in, like, all his past memories and all of his choices, the reasons they were there in the first place, the reason they even needed a tutor. There was, like, tons of different actual solid foreshadowing or reasons as to why it was one specific girl. And sure, I could go down a list of them, but sure, there's still going to be fucking dickwads there like, no, fuck you. Miku's the best girl. I'm going to be like, okay, well, she didn't win, did she? And then they're going to be like, they're going to chat it out and be like, that's fine, because she's fucking mine. Like, that's how invested these fuckers are. They're like, she's best girl. I'm glad he didn't take her because then she could be mine. Bro, she's a drawing. She ain't going to be anybody's.
Right? Oh my god. People be crazy.
Surprisingly, the series like that still do well. I mean, that's a good controversial topic of anime that's out right now and still ongoing is Rent-A-Girlfriend. And everybody can agree that the main character pretty much sucks and whatnot, but they still can't agree who he should end up with because they know he's going to end up with someone even if they don't want to. And so there are still debates on who he should end up with there. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the main girl, but I could be wrong. But that one won an award for him cucking himself, is what they said, where he's in love with the main girl and he pushed her to go out with another guy, I think is the situation. I'm like behind, but I believe I've read about it.
I see.
So I don't know. A lot of people love to hate it, and I'm just so far invested I might as well see how it ends. That's where I stand on it.
I don't think I'm that invested in anything.
Hey man, I gave you some series to check out. That Destiny Lovers, that's a good one. I don't think that'll get animated because it never got finished manga-wise. So the only way to do it is through manga.
Well, if it didn't get finished then, though,
I know, that
what's
sucks.
the point?
It has an ending, but not a real ending. It's basically divided in 2 parts. The first part is a prison arc, and the second part is an island arc. It's a game of cat and mouse between guys and girls. All adults, so we're fine there. We don't know why, but the girls really want to make the guys come for whatever reason. So the guys have to band together and come up with different ways to not let the girls get them off. And it's something. Like, it seems pretty funny, but then it gets pretty dark. Like, for instance, they want to do a whole bunch of different sexy situations, So one of them being they turned off like the heat, so they were all so cold, so the girls would have to cuddle them and try and make something happen. But another one was like they took all the guys to a swimming pool, and one of the guys is just like, I don't even need to use my hands. So they were trying to come up with ways to get themselves off so the girls wouldn't make them hard. And so he was in the pool, and I assume going to town on one of the jets. I don't know. But he had to do it whenever the girl wasn't looking. And it was just something. It was just a weird little thing. The first half isn't that bad. It's the second half that gets really out there. Go ahead, you can say what you want about the first half.
I don't know what to say.
Okay. Would you give in? You have no knowledge of why you're at this location. You're in a prison. You have no knowledge why you're there, but the girls are trying to sleep with you, and you don't know why. And one dude did come and get taken away, and you don't know what happens to him, and you don't know why. So you don't have any information. You're just stuck there, and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, why not? I think they do like culminate an idea eventually, or like certain details slip out. Basically, the end of the world has happened, and it only happens in guys, and it's after they've had relations with a woman, they kind of turn into monsters or something. And so they're trying to test like cures for it or something in the facility, but they don't let you have any of that information. And basically any of the guy that has sex, he's going to die. So that's the equivalent. It's have sex or die. And eventually,
wouldn't it be have sex and die?
Yes, technically.
But not have sex and not die.
Yeah. And eventually, it's not that they give up, it's that one of them turned and kind of destroyed the facility. And so your main character gets scooped up with other characters at other facilities, and then they all get dumped onto an island. And then it's kind of like Survivor, only it's a point system to get things to survive, and the only way you earn those points is by doing sexy stuff. It's kind of more of the same, but a little bit more life and death, essentially. They're running out of time. And it does end on kind of a cliffhanger of them getting off the island, but whether or not the world's fine or they're finding a cure or if any of it was true, you don't know. It does just end, so.
Ha.
Oh, yeah. I got a good handful of degenerate books. I mean classy, upstanding novels about stuff.
Sure. That's what you want to call it, then yeah, we'll go with that.
Hey man, I'm still pretty sure the one I did sold out because of me.
The what?
Did I never tell you that?
I don't know.
The To Save the World, the one about the guy that gets raped at the end of every chapter.
Yep.
After I did my review, that review blew up to like sub-virally, like for my genre of stuff, anime and manga, I would say it was probably decently viral at 200K or so. I had a whole bunch of questions shortly after that of people wanting to know where they can get it. And I was like, what? I just bought it. Amazon. I'm sure Right Stuff has it. Other manga sellers. And I sure enough, I go look. It's out of stock everywhere.
Huh.
Yeah. I was like,
maybe get a hold of them and be like, yo, where's my cut?
Well, see, and I would, because I'm pretty sure it's a 7 Seas title, and all these titles I'm talking about are from that publisher. The Might As Well Cheat, the Destiny Lovers, all of them, they're from that publisher. So I mean, I would, yeah, I hype up tons of 7 Seas titles. Hear that podcast? 7 Seas, go buy. They're not a paid promotion people
yet.
I'll take freebies. They don't got to pay me.
True.
They've got the best licenses out there that I enjoy. Biz is probably second, only because they got all the shonen titles. It's kind of hard to compete with that. Otherwise, Yen Press is the only other one I can think of. For instance, Shonen Jump, they're Viz, so Viz has it as shonen, so it's its own thing. But they also have shoujo, which is for girls, shonen's for boys. That's how they look at it. Ghost Ship is 7 Seas, and it's their kind of general one, but it's mostly tons of degenerate titles. But it's actually general. But they've started Steamship, which is also 7 Seas, but it's a different imprint where it's a whole bunch of adult female line age stories where it's a female main character getting into sexy situations, stuff like that. Yeah. Of which I have some of those too. There's always so much to read, so little time.
So much to watch in so little time.
That too. I mean, I do both at the same time, but I usually can't.
I can't do that because I watch subbed.
Mm-hmm. That would have been a good, perfect, controversial topic right there. Yeah, what was that you just said for our listeners?
I said I would watch and read at the same time, but I can't because I watch subbed anime. So I wouldn't be able to
some
read
kind of
something.
Elitist?
No, I just think Japanese voice actors are better than English voice actors most of the time.
That can't be true. They put in just as much effort, especially nowadays. Like, old stuff, yeah, I believe you, but nowadays they try really hard. And sometimes it's better, to be honest, but it's very specific. For instance, I watched Hensuki, or I forget the long title. It's like something, would you still think I'm cute if I was a pervert or something? And it's, I know, but yeah. So it's about a main character, and it's basically Cinderella, but not Cinderella. One of the girls he's friends with left their panties for him, and he has to find the girl whose the panties they are. So a lot of the Japanese dialogue doesn't really translate well over to English, and the English writers wrote it to like be more our style, and it worked really well. Like the humor, it had me laughing. Like they wrote jokes that were for Americans or for English speaking people, and I could definitely tell. And I would say nowadays it's kind of, it works both ways. I think it's just as good.
I don't know. The only one that I've found so far where I think the English voice actors are better than Japanese is Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball series.
What about like Yu Yu Hakusho? Or what about all those classic animes you watch? What about Bleach and stuff? You like the Japanese better than the English?
Bleach, yes. Yu Yu Hakusho, I don't know that I've watched that in Japanese, so I don't have an opinion on there.
But essentially what you said about it being hard to watch and read at the same time, that's actually more than often why I put on dubbed anime, so I can multitask. But I do a lot of stuff, so I mean, I get it. But there are people out there where, yeah, they'll get angry in your face if you tell them you watched it subbed versus dubbed, or dubbed versus subbed, whichever way you watch it. They'll tell you you're wrong, and I'm like,
I'm not wrong. Watch it how you want to watch it.
Exactly.
If you want to watch dubbed, watch dubbed.
And what's funny is it's not just us. Did you know it's a big fucking deal in Japan that they argue about this, and you know what the center of it is? King of the Hill. It is massively debated whether or not people should watch it in the original English or watch it dubbed in Japanese over there. I am not fucking kidding.
That's actually pretty hilarious.
And that's our episode for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to Fellow and Friends. We'll catch you next time.